foot. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to talk about colds. So my son is now 17 months old and we are in spring now. So in the winter he got about 5 colds. So this is mainly before he turned 1. And then after he turned 1, he's only had 1 cold. I wanted to do this video just because right now, you know, transitions of seasons from like winter to spring can be really hard on us, especially for babies, just because of the cold and like the weather just being up and down, like from very hot to cold and then raining and then humidity and everything. My son did get a cold recently, so this is about, it will be 2 weeks that he's had a cold on Saturday, so a little shy of 2 weeks. But this time around, and I really think that it's because his immune system has built up. He has not had any fevers. He hasn't had a really bad cold. The worst that he's gotten is just congestion, cough, and you know, runny nose. But that's really common. Before he turned 1 though, his colds, he would get fevers, he wouldn't eat, he would just be really attached to us, and that's really normal for babies, especially when their immune system is developing. So yeah, I thought I would give you guys some tips of things that have really worked for us to minimize his cold and shorten the time period that he is sick. I do also want to say that, and I think this is important because the things that I'm going to mention, you know, every parent is very different and you should really talk to your doctor if you have any questions. I'm not a doctor, so please take everything that I'm saying just from my experience as a mom and things that have worked for me as well as many other moms. But if you go to just a practical Western doctor medicine that practices Western medicine, a lot of times they will tell you that natural remedies are not safe, and you know, for many reasons. But I do think that it's very important to try to get a holistic approach. So that means I take it into account, and I really appreciate medicine, Western medicine. I appreciate it a lot because it helps us a lot, but I do believe also that there's certain natural remedies that really do work. Humidifier and diffuser, as well as eucalyptus oil, which is an essential oil. So we have been using a humidifier since my baby was, I want to say 3 to 4 months old. And basically what a humidifier does, if you don't know about it already, it opens up the airway. So basically when they're sick, it's really hard. And you can imagine when you're sick and you're sleeping at night, it's really hard to breathe. Like your nose gets really stuffy. So what a humidifier does is helps open your airways, and so you can breathe better. And the eucalyptus, it smells amazing. Basically what it does, it also helps, so it enhances the steam, and it's just really comforting and alleviates a lot of the congestion. This is the one that we use. And one thing that I was confused about is how much do you use, right? So 100 milliliters of water, you use 3 to 5 drops, 200, 6 to 10, 300 milliliters, 9 to 12 drops, 400 milliliters, 12 to 15 drops, and 500 milliliters of water, 15 to 20 drops. So according to what size your diffuser is, that's how many drops you add into it. And I will link below where I got this information. Now for the humidifier, we have a smart humidifier, which means that I can change the humidifier percentage in my baby's room from my phone, which is really good. It also has a nightlight, but we don't use that nightlight. And the humidifier that we have has a cool mist as well as a hot mist or a warm mist. We mostly just use a cool mist unless it was really cold, and then we would use a warm one, but it's a lot safer to use a cool mist. And they suggest that when your baby's sick with a cold, that you have the humidifier between 30 to 50%, I believe. We normally have it at 50%, just so you can really tell the steam or the vapor in the room. You don't want to have it too high because then there's issues about bacteria and mold building in the room. So let me show you the one that we have. I mentioned this humidifier in my baby essentials video. This is the Motorola, and it's really cool. You can change the filter in here and control it from your phone. Okay, my next tip is Vapor Rub. So this is the one that, I mean, we grew up on this, guys. Like, I remember as a little kid, my mom putting it on my chest, on my back, on my nose, like growing up, I remember I would always use this when I had a cold, just the adult vapor rub. But vapor rub, they have different types of vapor rub now. So they have like the organic, the more natural ones. I just use this one. This is the one that I got while we were pregnant, and I do plan on eventually switching up, but this one's been great for us. And what we do is we put it on his chest, on his back. Moms, like, I really suggest, I found this tip from other moms that would put this on her baby's feet, and I swear by this because I thought it was like, it wasn't gonna work. It really works. You put the vapor rub on the soles of their feet, so like right there of their feet, and what it does, it helps them stop coughing at night. So I do this every night when my baby has a cold, chest, back, and then the soles of their feet. The secret is that you have to put the socks over. So after you put vapor rub on the soles of their feet, you put socks on it so it stays. And I swear, like, I remember last time around that we did it, that's when I first did it during the winter, his last cold out of 5. We put it on his feet, and I swear that night he barely coughed at night. So I was like, oh my God, this is like really working. So I did it this time around too, and yeah, it really helps him stop coughing at night. Okay, my next tip is saline drops as well as the nose Frida. You guys saw in my first video or second video that I mentioned this as a baby essentials because, you guys, it's so necessary. I hated the ball, the little ball thing that you would suction the boogers out with. I hated that thing. This one is amazing, and it helps really take out all the mucus out of their nose and help them be less congested, because babies don't know how to blow their nose, right? So like that, can you imagine, like, you have all these mucus and you can't get rid of it, how uncomfortable that could be. So this, just saline drops and just the nose Frida, it works amazing. The one thing is that babies hate it. My kid would scream like somebody was murdering him, but like it really works. So I really think it's really worth it. They sell it at Target and Amazon. I'll link it below. Okay, my next tip is elderberry. So this is the Gaia Kids elderberry. You can buy it at Whole Foods, you can buy it on Amazon. And basically what I do, so elderberry is an immune supporter. So basically what I do is I give this to my kid every single day, once a day. If he has a cold, this is the first time that we've given him elderberry twice. When they have a cold or they need more immune support, you give it to them twice a day. This is for babies 1 year and older, so just be careful. You know, if your baby's under 12 months, then there's a few things that you can't use just because they're too young still, but this is amazing. Like, this really has helped my kids. I've noticed that he hasn't gotten sick as much, and I think it's also because of his immune support, his immune system developing. I really like the fact that with this cold, he has not been bothered. He slept all night. Has not been any sleepless nights. So that's great. And I really think that this is great to add to your baby's staples like vitamins and elderberry. So this next thing is honey. So again, if your baby's under 12 months, do not give them honey. If they are over 12 months, what I do is I would give my baby, I would make chamomile tea and add some honey to it. Or he really likes sweets and fruit, so I would add it to a piece of fruit so he can suck on it. Or I would just give it to him like in a tablespoon or half a tablespoon or whatever, just so he can have some of it. And what it does, it really helps their throat. Like if they have a sore throat or if it's itchy, it really helps alleviate that. So this has been great. This is just raw honey that we got at Whole Foods, but any honey, I think that as long as it's organic and it doesn't have a lot of stuff to it, it's just supposed to be honey, because believe it or not, a lot of honeys have things added to them. So just be careful, look at the ingredients list. So my next tip is to elevate their heads. So at night when baby is sleeping, don't have them sleep just like this with their head flat. I know that for my kid, we didn't use a pillow for the longest time. Then when he got sick, we would elevate his head. Like, so instead of being like this, you want them to be like that. So what you could do is use a pillow to elevate their head. And if they're still really young, then I'm not sure if it's safe. Ask your doctor. I don't want to give you misguided information, but when they're at an age that they're old enough to do it, and I would say probably, don't quote me on this, but probably around 7-8 months, I think it's safe to elevate their head when they have a cold. Beyond that, they don't need pillows. So if it's like this again, make sure they're kind of like that, so then it really helps them breathe better at night. My next tip is do not bathe your baby while they are sick. Unless they're filthy, dirty, or you know, they had a huge, poop accident or whatever. It's really not necessary to bathe them every day. When they have a cold, you know, it's just not a good idea, just because when they're cold and the temperature changes and all of that, it really does affect them. So for my son, what we do is we just give him like a quick sponge bath, or we use a foam body wash that I mentioned in my first or second video, and I'll link it below again. And yeah, we just clean kind of like the neck area, his butt, just areas where might be a little stinky, but we don't give him baths when he has a cold, or we try not to as much as possible, especially if they have a fever. My next tip is if your baby has a cold and they have a fever, for me, again, every parent's different. For me, I always have a fever reducer with us at home. So we have either Tylenol or Motrin. There's been times where he has had a cold where he has really high fevers, and we've taken to the ER, and what they told us at the ER is, the doctor told us, is to alternate between Motrin and Tylenol. Motrin lasts 6 hours, Tylenol lasts 4 hours. So alternating between those if they have fevers really helps, as well as a washcloth, washcloth really helps to cool them down. Okay, so my next tip is cold syrup. Again, if your baby is under 12 months, do not give them this. But if your baby is over 12 months, I really like this. This is the Highland Baby Tiny Cold Syrup for nighttime. This really, I've noticed, I don't know if you can see it right there. I've really noticed, like, when my baby is sick, especially the first few days, you know, the first few days are always like suck, right? The first few days, maybe like the first 3 to 4 days, I will give this to him at night, and it basically helps with their stop the coughing, and it also helps them sleep. So a lot of times they're restless or they're really tired, but they just feel so sick that they just, you know, they fight their sleep. So giving them this at night, I love it. I'm so glad that now he's a little older where I could offer him certain things like this. And this one is a natural release homeopathic type of medicine, so it doesn't have everything that, say, a fever reducer would, which I don't mind Tylenol or Motrin, but I don't like to give it to him all the time, especially if I don't have to, right? So this really helps. You can find this at Target. Okay, so this is new for us. So this is the Highlands ear drops. You guys, my friend, her son was recently sick with a high fever, and then he was complaining about earache. He's only 3 years old, and she told me, she posted this on her Snapchat story, and I asked her, hey, what is this? Because my kid has had an ear infection before right after a cold, because all the mucus builds up, and it causes ear infections. So what she told me, she's like, hey, I tried this. It's the Highlands earache drops, and the pain went away immediately. I don't think he had an ear infection. If they have an ear infection, they do need either antibiotics or another type of remedy to get rid of the infection. So again, I believe in homeopathic or just Western medicine, as well as homeopathic solutions. But yeah, so for this, if it's just an ear pain or whatever, earache drops, this works like instantly. You put it in their ear, 2 to 3 drops, and like they feel immediate relief of the pain if they do have any pain. My last and final tip is rest. You guys, if your baby is cold, has a cold, I know like colds, just like the regular old cold, doesn't sound like a big deal because we're so used to it. You know, as adults, we have immune systems that are built up already, and we can go throughout our day just feeling like a little crappy, but like we're okay to keep going, right? But when babies are sick, like because their immune system's still developing and it's not as strong as ours, even if my kid is 17 months old, he needs a lot more rest. So his naps are longer, he wants to go to sleep earlier, so his bedtime's like at 7:30. When he's sick with a cold, especially the first few days, he wants to go to sleep as early as 6 o'clock. So I will let him sleep as much as he wants to, and if he's being very like fussy where he's tired but he doesn't want to go to sleep, I will let him sleep on my chest, or let him sleep with his dad on his chest, and he will sleep super comfortably. We normally don't do that just because he really loves his crib and his own bed. He's very independent. But if they're sick, just remember, give them a lot of rest. Don't try to go out and like continue doing too much, because that will just make them worse and it will make the cold last longer. All right guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you found these tips helpful. If you haven't heard of these already, which I'm sure you have, I'm hoping that you at least found one tip that you haven't used before that will maybe help you when your baby is sick. I will also say to hang in there if your baby's sick. I know it's like those restless nights and like those long nights where they don't sleep. It's like rough on everybody, but hang in there. Thank you guys. See you guys next time. Bye.